So, Brian,
What's
the most dangerous question is revolving around the pre-approval in the lending world.
Yeah.
Especially now in the state of a world where, buyer's market, seller's market, what's going on. People are very concerned on what do you need as a lender. And some people might think that it can happen at the snap of a finger. So let's go over, that pre-approval process, what the forms look like, what expectations can come out of you.
Yeah. Initially, it's a conversation. Too many lenders out there want you to do an online application, which that's okay to start with, but I like to hear how the clients are going to answer my questions. If they're hourly and I ask them, how many hours a week do you work? And they say 40, but they say 40, then we need to dive a little deeper because that's a big question. But if they're just filling out an app and they punch in 40, then they work 40 hours. So you got to really dig in and make sure that the questions are answered right. So I'd say the best, smartest thing is to have a conversation with someone like me to make sure everything's taken care of and we're covering all the bases because any little thing can wreck a deal.
Right. Yeah, and from the real estate standpoint of it, we know how important a pre-approval is going into, some markets around here that are still seller markets and a lot of competition. We know you need to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So, I hear it all the time. And just let us know these forms that come up.
Yeah.
What can help a buyer right now looking in the market to get prepared to get that pre-approval with you?
It depends on how they get paid. Most of us get paid with a W-2. The easiest person to pre-approve is someone who's W-2'd, paid a base salary, like a teacher. They get $65,000 a year, and that's it. That's a piece of cake. Depending on my confidence level in that client, if I feel like they're telling the truth and their credit looks good and everything, up front, I'm probably not going to ask them to submit that W-2 before we do the pre-approval letter. Now, if it's someone who's self-employed, they have a bunch of rental properties, or maybe they're paid by the hour, they get a bunch of commission or overtime or bonuses, whatever, then yeah, we might want to dig in and get a verification of employment from their employer, kind of breaking down their pay, get their pay stubs, get their W-2s. So it just depends on the person. Now, if someone's self-employed, you definitely want to get tax returns and all that. So again, it depends. If it's a Saturday afternoon and someone just walked through a house and they want to put an offer, they haven't done the pre-approval yet, and we need to get that offer in that day, we better hope that they're W-2'd, they're salaried, it's easy. If that person's self-employed, they're probably not going to, so I guess my biggest point here would be if you're a real estate investor, you have rental properties, you're self-employed, kind of a tricky income situation, before you even start looking, let's do all that.
Yeah.
And I suggest that for everybody, but especially someone like that. So when it comes to forms, it's just going to depend on who we are and what we do to what we need. But everybody should, even if you're buying a house or not, should know where your stuff is. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people, well, I need to see your pay stub. Well, I don't know how to get my pay stub. Or I need last year's tax returns. I don't know where those are. So just advice from anybody, even if you're buying or not, be organized, have your stuff.
Yeah, ultimately, when I'm talking to first-time home buyers, we know that's a lot of the clients I work with on the buy side. Yeah. And, typically in that first conversation, they're, I'm 1 year out, I might, don't know what I'm going to buy. And then you start looking at houses, and it starts to
snowballs quickly.
I want to buy a house. I want to buy this house. And so then you got to move very rapidly. So I think having that conversation up front, setting them up with you so that okay, at least you know each other, right?
Yep.
You've had that conversation. I'm not saying you need to get pre-approved, but I want you to know the basics, numbers, and all that good stuff. Yeah,
that's a good point. If someone's not ready to have their credit pulled, maybe they're thinking, I'm really not going to buy for 6 months or 12 months. Well, that's fine. We could always do a soft credit pull, which isn't going to hurt your credit. A hard pull is probably not going to hurt your credit either. But definitely have your ducks in a row. Make sure you at least know where things are, the income docs and things like that. Leave it up to me as far as, hey, I've only been on the job a year. I got paid this way on my last job. I get paid this way on my new job. We'll go over all that, and I'll ask all those questions. So you don't really, as long as you remember, you do have to remember. I have a lot of people who been on their job 6-7 months and don't remember how long they were on their last job. That's a problem. You need to know that. But yeah, a conversation is always the smartest. And if you are going to do something in 6 months, don't wait. Let's look at everything now. Maybe there's something you need to work on to either get approved or to get you to that next level where maybe you're going from like an FHA loan to a conventional loan.
Right.
So it's never too early. If you know you're going to be looking at houses soon, within 12 months, I'd say let's talk now. It doesn't cost anything. We don't charge to do pre-approvals. It's free.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking on, pre-approvals, I know it goes into them, debt to income, credit score, job history, all that good stuff. Yeah. What would you say, if I'm a first-time home buyer out there looking, what's the number one disqualifying factor there that a first-time home buyer watching this video right now can look at and say, okay, this is something I need to look at?
Oh, boy. Well, credit's probably number one.
Okay.
You definitely want to look at that. Now, we're not a credit repair company, but I did a wonderful job of screwing up my own back when I was your age a long time ago. So I learned the hard way how to fix it. And then over the years, just trial and error with clients. And we do a really good job of helping people get to that point. And every month we're closing, myself, Mike, and the guys in the office, we're closing at least one to, I think we closed 4 this month that we put people on like game plans months ago. Sometimes it takes a couple years, and if the people actually listen and they do what we tell them to do, it's going to work. So we're closing those all the time. So credit's probably the number one thing, especially first-time home buyers because they've never really had to worry about credit before.
Yeah.
After that, it's depending on credit, it's income. How we get paid. A lot of people like to get paid under the table. I would like that too, but we can't count that income because you're not paying taxes on it.
Yeah.
Assets, if you can throw some money in the bank, it's always good to have extra money, even if we're not using it for the transaction. Right. Just having $3,000 left in your bank or $3,000 in a 401k. So if you're young and you have the opportunity to contribute to your 401k, do it.
Yeah.
Retirement may seem way off and it's never ever going to happen. Why am I going to put money in this thing? Well, it can help you beforehand, even if you're not using it, because that also too can get you over the hump and get you qualified for something. Again, even if you're not using the money, the banks look at what we call reserve money that you're going to have left over that you're not using for the transaction. So having 2 or 3 months worth of that mortgage payment sitting in a 401k that you're never going to touch until you're 60 or 65 can make a difference. So little things like that, especially when you're young, first looking, credit, make sure you can document your income, and if you can save some money, even if it's a 401k, do it because it will help you.
Right. Yeah, and you talked about when you were younger and the credit problems you had. Yeah. Speaking to a high schooler right now and looking at them and saying, there are things you can do to set yourself up where at 18, you don't have to go out and get a credit card or, get this car loan payment. You can, if you have a parent in the household that has good credit that you trust, which I hope you do trust your parents, they can put you on as an authorized user. Yep. You don't have to use the credit card. You're just going to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, that's a good start. Our side of the world has cracked down on that a little bit with authorized users, but it's a good start. So if you can't get a credit card on your own or you can't get a car loan on your own, to at least generate a score to get moving, that would be a great idea to get that started. Eventually, you're going to want to get your own. Yeah. Use it the right way. Again, the right way to use a credit card is, believe it or not, to leave a balance on it and make the minimum payment every month. But you want to make sure that balance stays under. It's either 1/2 or 1/3 of whatever the limit is. So, I always tell everybody 1/3. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, use it for something you'd pay cash for. Go fill up the gas tank a couple times. Keep that, again, if the limit's $1,000, keep the balance under $300, and just make that $25 payment every month, and that's going to be huge for your credit. Right. But the authorized user thing, if you can't get anything on your own, that's a great way to start, especially if you're 16, 17, 18 years old. And then go from there. And then, there's Capital One, Credit One. Those are usually the credit cards that I see for people trying to build credit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Navy Federal being in the service, but people don't understand that you can get a Navy Federal card just by, they have like the donation thing, and then you're able to get it. You're able to get higher limits. They trust a little bit better, but also, those secured credit cards, right? That first card's going to be a secured credit card, build your credit up. But I think that it's a lot simpler if you don't start behind with, all the debt and negative things. Because it's kind of like you go down the hill and to go back up, it's just so difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah. I just started working out again. It's like trying to work out again. It's awful, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I did, I got a credit card mess, and then I couldn't pay them. So then they go to collections, and the next thing you know, you're 25 years old with a 450 credit score, and it's a slog trying to get back up again. So I'm not a fan of a lot of debt, obviously. A couple things though, if you do the right thing up front, and that credit score starts really high, you don't need to, just be smart about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just that timeline and getting things in. The last thing you want to do when you're getting excited about buying a house is find out that you're 1 or 2 years down the road, because that is just a killer, and it hurts me and yourself in the thought of we're putting out that bad experience whenever it's something we can do. So help us out and come to us now. A year before. I'd rather have that conversation so that you're set up better. And maybe it comes down to the point where you're set up great right now and you're ready to go right now because you'd rather be buying than waiting.
I can't tell you, I think we've talked about this before, that generation, those 18 to 25-year-olds, I've never done so many loans for them. I mean, I've got, these kids that are in the trades making good money in HVAC or whatever it is. I was never in that. I mean, I was doing stupid things back then. These kids are really, it's impressive that some of these kids, I mean, I did a pre-approval for someone the other day, was born in 2005, 2006. And credit scores high 700s, debt ratios low, has a little bit of money to put down. I mean, really impressive. But yeah, if you're someone out there who's 18, 19, 20, and you want to get into real estate, start buying real estate, having that conversation with someone like myself and you, again, even if it's not something you're going to do for a while, is incredibly important. Don't just think you're going to wake up on a Saturday morning and go look at a house and buy it. It's probably not going to be that easy. If you're lucky, maybe it's that easy. But being prepared for it, just like anything, is incredibly smart.
And we know it's when it comes to the whole talking to a lender, talking to a real estate agent, we know it can be intimidating. And so if you want to, do some own research on your own beforehand, there are credit bureau, institutions that you can find out your credit score, so you're not coming to us and, nervous about wasting our time or whatever, which we know that is not the case. There's, I forget what the website is, but you can get one free credit check every year. But if you go on Experian, that's the one that I recommend the most over like Credit Karma and all those others. Experian will give you a pretty accurate score, and you don't have to buy that premium stuff. So that will help you out, get ahead of the game, know where you're at before you come to us if you're a little intimidated.
It is intimidating. I mean, I like to think that I'm not, but again, maybe I am. Credit reporting is a goofy thing. If you go to your bank to buy a car, they're going to pull your credit and they're going to give you a credit score. That credit score, though, tops out at like 9 to 950. If you go back to that same bank the same day and have your credit pulled for a mortgage, that score is going to be lower because the mortgage range is 8 to 850. So if you're seeing something on Credit Karma or Experian, I get with my Discover card every month, they tell me what my FICO score is. And a lot of people mistakenly think the FICO score, that's the score. That's No, it's the same kind of thing, but most likely it's on a different kind of range, but it can still give you an idea of where you are. Just because Experian says this or just because FICO says that doesn't mean that's exactly what it is, but it'll give you an idea, So if you're thinking, well, I think my credit score is a little low, I need to do something to fix it, and you look at it this month, you fix the thing that you think needs fixed, and next month that score is higher. Again, maybe it's not 100% right, but at least you're doing the right thing and that score is going in the right direction. So I use Credit Karma just to make sure, things are being reported properly. I don't pay too much attention to the score. But yeah, I mean, there's some good things out there without talking to us, but I don't think we're that intimidating. I think you can still call us. We're not gonna run you off.
That's why we do this, so we don't get as crazy.
Exactly.
We're human. We've had done the same mistakes, and had the same challenges that you've had, and so it should not be intimidating. But to close this all out, I want to give a piece of advice to these first-time home buyers, these buyers in general, and so. You're never too young to start looking around. You're never, too early to start talking to me or Brian about this whole process. When it comes to it, we have different programs, right? FHA, USDA, VA, that you can do creative things. So if I'm looking to an 18, 19-year-old right now, I would say reach out to us. Let's get a plan in place so that in 2 years, maybe even a year and a half, depending on what's going on, you get that FHA loan, you get a multifamily residence. If you're single, rent out one of the units, start building that, income and residual income and grow from there. Real estate is the number one way to wealth. Yeah. Right. And when you look at all billionaires, millionaires, the one thing in common with them is real estate.
Yeah. 100%.
So,
well, and just like we were talking before we even started today, bought a house a couple of years ago, or someone we know bought a house a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, for $100,000, and they're selling it for 160.
Yeah,
$60,000, pretty good in 4 years. I mean, that's going to happen. So yeah, if you're 19, 20, buy that duplex. A duplex, especially, that'd be awesome.
Huge.
So no, it's if you've got goals, and some of your goals are 25, 30 years old, I want to be here, and here. Real estate's the way to do it.
Yeah. So you heard it here first from me and Brian. Drop the girlfriend. Go buy the duplex. Go buy the duplex and get all the investment.
You can afford that rent 10 years down the road, man.
Trust me, a duplex won't cost as much as a girlfriend and then future wife down the road. So you'll thank us later.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have kids you have to pay for later, too. So start making that money at 20.